I'll tell you right now, some days you walk into work thinking it's going to be just another slow Tuesday, and then something drops in your lap that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the people around you. That's exactly what happened to me, and honestly, it still keeps me up some nights because it all started with a kid and a pair of scissors. I mean, who'd ever think a routine haircut could turn into a moment where someone's entire life hinges on whether you pay attention or not? So there I was, sweeping up the last bits of hair, radio humming low in the background, sun barely slanting through the smudged windows, one of those lazy afternoons when the town feels like it's sleeping with one eye open. You know what I mean? The bell over the door jingled, not the confident jangle of a regular, but that soft, nervous sound that says whoever's coming in would rather be anywhere else. I looked up and saw a little guy, couldn't have been more than 10 or 11, standing there like he'd wandered in by mistake. His name was Ethan, or that's what he finally managed to mumble when I asked, eyes locked onto the scuffed linoleum like if he just stared hard enough, he'd vanish into it. No parent, no big brother, just him and that baggy old t-shirt, shoulders hunched, hands picking at the hem, hair hanging in his face. Now, in a town like ours, kids run errands on their own all the time. No one thinks twice about it. But something about Ethan just felt off from the jump, the way he shrank from my touch, how he barely answered my questions about his haircut. I asked if he wanted it short for summer or just a trim, and he shrugged, said, "Whatever's easiest," voice so small you could barely hear it. As I fastened the cape around his neck, he flinched, not just startled, but scared, like he was bracing for something worse. I pretended not to notice, just kept talking about the weather, school, sports, but every answer was short, polite, like he was running on autopilot. I started wetting down his hair, combing through, and that's when I saw them, the bruises. Faded yellow and purple marks just above his collarbone, like old fingerprints, and a nasty fresh welt right behind his left ear. My heart dropped straight into my stomach. I tried to keep my hand steady, but my brain was running a mile a minute. You get a gut feeling after years of this job, and I'd seen enough over the years to know the difference between a clumsy kid and something way more sinister. "Did you fall, buddy?" I asked, keeping my tone light like it was no big deal. "Bike accident?" He jerked his arm away when I got close to his wrist, and I saw more bruises there, dark and round. "Yeah, I fell off my bike," he said, but it sounded rehearsed, like a line he'd practiced in front of a mirror. A minute later, I asked about another mark, and suddenly I slipped in the shower. The story kept changing, the bruises stayed the same. But what really got me was the way he acted when the haircut was over. Most kids his age are gone before you sweep the last clippings off their shoes, but Ethan lingered, staring at his reflection, fiddling with a bottle of hair gel, asking pointless questions just to stay put. He kept glancing at the clock, then back at the door, but didn't move to leave. The salon was empty, the town was quiet, and suddenly, I realized he was stalling. Not because he liked my company, but because going home scared him more than anything. Let me back up a sec. It's not like I'm some hero, all right? I'm just a hairdresser who's seen enough to know when something isn't right. I excused myself, told him I needed to grab more cleaning supplies, slipped into the back and dialed 911 with shaking hands, kept my voice low as I told the dispatcher about the bruises, the weird stories, the way Ethan looked like he wanted to disappear. The dispatcher told me officers were on their way, just keep him there if I could. I came back out, offered him a cold soda for his headache, some cookies left over from lunch, and tried to act normal, but inside, my heart was pounding like crazy. Ethan relaxed just a little, let his guard down maybe because he thought he'd bought himself a little more time. He looked at me, eyes so old for a kid, and I just knew whatever was happening at home, it wasn't right. 20 minutes felt like forever. He fiddled with the change in his pocket, kept checking the clock. When the bell finally jingled again, 2 officers walked in, one of them a woman with soft eyes and a badge that seemed too heavy for her slim shoulders. I tried to act casual. "Just about finished here," I said, sweeping up hair, hoping Ethan would stay seated. The officer knelt down next to him and nodded toward his wrist. "That looks painful," she said, voice calm, no judgment. "Everything all right at home?" Ethan's face crumpled, just a flicker, but enough, and his shoulders started shaking, tears leaking out before he could stop them. He didn't say much at first. The officer just waited, giving him time, not pushing, and finally the words came in bursts, like he'd been holding his breath for years. He told them about his stepdad, the yelling, the drinking, the fists. How he tried to take most of the beatings so his mom wouldn't have to. How his stepdad threatened to hurt them both if they ever told. How he stayed late at school, or ran errands that took way too long, just to avoid walking through that front door. The officer listened, didn't write anything down yet, just nodded. Let him talk. That's when the twist hit. Ethan wasn't just scared for himself, but for his mother, too. He figured as long as he was around, maybe his mom would be safer, even if it meant he took the worst of it. That's a kind of courage you don't see every day, especially in a kid. The officers asked him if he wanted to go somewhere safe that night. He nodded, still crying, relief and fear all mixed together. They made a quick call, set everything in motion. I watched as they gently led Ethan out to their car, wrapping him in a blanket, promising him things would change. And you know what? They did. That same night, the officers found his mom. She was in bad shape, but alive, and the stepdad was hauled away, screaming all the way. For once, no one cared about the noise. A week later, I got a card in the mail, no return address. Just a messy little thank you written in block letters. Thank you for saving my life. I still keep it in my drawer. Every now and then, I pull it out, especially when I start wondering if I did enough, if I read the signs right. And yeah, I wonder, too, how many other Ethans are out there, trying to be brave, hoping someone's paying attention. So, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you speak up or look the other way? Where's the line between minding your business and saving a life? Drop your thoughts below. I want to know what you do. Because sometimes, all it takes to change a life is a little courage and the guts to ask one hard question.